for state of emergency. So, but I just hope that the president is able to use wisdom to ensure that yes, indeed, the people are compensated, and to ensure that he puts the service chiefs on their toes for them to deliver and deliver professionally.
Well, I agree with you, Nike, but I also want to chip this in. Now, Gumi is saying, this is the same Gumi that is the Boko Haram negotiator. If he's coming to say that the killings
wasn't an error.
It wasn't an error, then maybe he should tell us more. He seems to know a little more than we do know. He's saying that it's not an error.
So Gumi is telling us it's not an error.
Yes.
Well, I think that the statement coming from Gumi should not be taken with kid glove.
Yeah.
Yes, it shouldn't be taken with kid glove, because this is somebody who have actually saying, you know, going to the Boko Haram insurgents to speak with them. And I've always wondered why we have seen an individual, an Islamic personality, who has been talking with insurgents, and I really don't know why the federal government has not been able to pick Gumi you quiz him and let's know how is he able to know where they are. Why can't the army go? And this is why some people say that it's like government has a hand in this insecurity that has persisted for years. It's been with us like.
Are you sure the army, the Nigerian army, don't know where the Boko Haram terrorists are?
So who's deceiving who? Who's deceiving who? So if Gumi is saying that this is not an error, it means indeed it's not an error. And this goes to also justify my concern that I hope this does not have a political undertone. Could this be a situation or a state or a situation where the Northerners are trying to fight the sitting president? Because albeit, yes, a lot of people say that they don't want him or something, but the Supreme Court has ruled. We didn't see this kind of bombing before the Supreme Court ruled that President Bola Tinubu should continue as the president of this very nation. Now, after it's been concluded, went to COP28, and the next thing we see is boom. And now, do not be surprised that there is still more to come. If Gumi is saying this is not an error, then it means indeed it is not an error.
Absolutely. Now, if the first rider there says that army's attack was against Air Force advice. Now, this was supposed to be the fight against Boko Haram and banditry. It is supposed to be a joint task. Air Force.
Yes.
You understand? But now the army went ahead against the advice of the Air Force, who are specialists with air bombings. I don't know if you guys understand. It is not the responsibility of the army alone to strike from the air. It is supposed to be a joint operation with the Air Force, but they did it alone against the advice of the Air Force. And we're saying that there could be no undertone. So Gumi might just be right. There could be some political undertone to this. And like we talked about Segun, I hope this will not be a plot to say that, okay, you know what, no more airstrikes. No, because
in the northern region.
Yeah, this is a good way to take out the Boko Haram guys. And they know, with airstrikes, you are seeing them, they can't see you, with the use of drones.
So most likely, we have people who have compromised the nation's security in the army, who felt they should attack immediately, cause havoc of this nature, to guard against the Air Force penetrating the zone of the Boko Haram.
Exactly.
I think it's making sense. I think we're trying to connect the curves now. But my advice is just for the government of the day to be swift in acting and in ensuring that the army chief is brought to book. I mean, he should face probe. He should explain to us who led the team there. And all of those team members should be questioned. They should be questioned.
I just hope.
So I think we are gradually getting to the root of those that are perpetrating this very evil.
I just hope the president is aware of all of this, and then is able to call his advisors to tell him on what to do, the next step of action. And okay, so now to a more interesting story. Excitement as $20 billion Dangote refinery receives crude oil. Finally. So that means it could be operational this month. Could be operational this month. All right, moving on away from that. Legends ASU kicks against induction of TET fund in annual budget. Inclusion of TET fund in annual budget, and then I think PDP backtracks from coalition with NNPP, SDP, and others.
All right, straight to The Guardian newspaper. The main headline, which is the big story on pages 4 and 5, it says female genital mutilation. Government details as painful initiation to womanhood flourishes. And then the writer says, Nigeria with 19.9 million survivors accounts for the third highest number of women and girls who have undergone female genital mutilation worldwide. Another writer says 3 million girls, women would have undergone female genital mutilation in Ebonyi, Ekiti, Imo, Osun, and Oyo states in the last 5 years. That's according to UNICEF. Another writer says only 13 states, that's Lagos, Osun, Ondo, Ekiti, Bayelsa, Ogun, Delta, Ebonyi, Oyo, and Imo State, Edo State, Cross River State, and River States have state laws that expressly prohibit female genital mutilation. Another writer says prevalence of female genital mutilation as of 2022 was highest in the southeast, that's 35%, southwest 30%, and lowest in the northeast, and that's 6%. In 2023, Nigeria is the highest when we talk about female genital mutilation.
And
It's unfortunate.
It's very, very, very unfortunate.
I mean, this is where a lot of people have been preaching about that you don't have to, go ahead and do this to the females, but you still do this even without the parents' consent. You force them to doing this, and we know the implication. But I think the advocacy should continue, just to dissuade perpetrators of this to stop.
I also feel the parents, both the father and the mother, should be enlightened, should have this knowledge about what they are about to lead their girl or their girl child into. It's not good at all. I mean, we have several NGOs, several foundations coming up with messages that do not involve in this, do not indulge your children in this. But whom is listening? No one is listening. So I just hope that the government, like Lagos and other states, let them just put this act out there, so nobody tries to.
Absolutely, Shegun. First of all, there should be laws. I'm sure if there are laws to guide people concerning this, it will help curb the FGM.
Female.
Yes, and also organizations have to help, like religious organizations. This thing is more cultural and religious, So if they can educate people from that angle also, because a lot of people are acting in ignorance, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. All right, moving to other stories. It says 10 Lafia Varsity students kidnapped by gunmen, and that's still connected to the insecurity issues. There's a video I was working on with our producer. In this year alone, kidnaps has taken place in every month of this year, from January to December, as captured by the dailies. It's so unfortunate that despite the heavy amount of funds going into fighting insecurity, I mean, it seemed like we're pouring water into baskets.
Yesterday, Nikki and I were discussing. We talked about these kidnappers not being dealt with. I mean, there should be a punishment kidnappers. You understand? So I just hope they would do the needful.
All right, still on the Guardian. One-way local flight hits 200,000 ahead of festive travels. We're in trouble. 200,000.
200,000.
One way, naira. So two-way, that's almost 500,000.
That's huge. But you know that the envisage this, that there's every likely tendency for a flight tickets to, for the price to increase. And so now one way for a whopping 200,000. I'm just afraid that the aviation sector will not collapse very soon, because if the money is too much, then it means that they won't have enough passengers. Now everybody will be forced to use the road. So it means if you have an appointment in Abuja or elsewhere for say in 3 days time, then you begin your journey 4 days to the very day, and that's going to be very stressful.
And the roads are not safe.
The roads are not
Kidnappings,
safe,
security issues. I mean, we saw on the daily. I saw on the dailies this morning how footballers that were going to play their game were attacked again. Apart from the one
that was part of what we discussed yesterday. You can imagine for even players to go through the road. We never knew that the amount for you to purchase a flight ticket has increased this much.
So how much does the club earn that will be able to pay?
How much are they even going to pay the players? And they have to pay this much for them to be conveyed there. It's so sad, and I just hope something is done before the aviation sector too start collapsing.
Absolutely. Again, queues resurface at banks as customers battle cash scarcity.
But of course, that has been in the news since 3 days ago. You actually read that news, and it's not surprising. It's always the norm. We've looked at it to say that many of the bank officials are also owners of POS, so they hold this cash so that at the end of the day you will be forced to patronize the POS, and I think this is very bad. I think the union of these banks should call them to order, whereby all of those that are holding cash should be dealt with and make this cash available. Because you can't be making money out of it. This is like milking Nigerians. You are there to make cash available. Then you now keep the cash for your own greedy, selfish interest. This is bad, and it should be condemned. And corporates should be brought to book. Honestly.
Yeah. And lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, it says more pressure on industries and businesses as over 952 naira to $1 exchange rate for import.
It's that's another area of concern. You find out that a lot of people, that brought in their cars and everything based on the amount to clear. They've all abandoned the vehicles at the ports there, and this is not surprising. I mean, look at what you read out now. So this is not a good time for you to import anything. It's not a good time at all. But for exporters, I think they are having a field day because a lot of Nigerians have jackpot, and because they have migrated, they are in need of so many things from Nigeria.
Absolutely.
I mean, African food and what have you. For those that are using creams, they keep demanding for creams from Nigeria because these are the ones that they know.
Beauty products.
Beauty products, exactly. So for the exporters, they are having a good time, because of course they are earning more for those over there. But for you to import is where the challenge is, and I think this should be checked.
Absolutely. Well, that's all we'll take on the Guardian newspaper.
All right, still staying with newspaper review. This time around, we are taking the Nigeria Tribune. And the major headline on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune reads, Kaduna drone strike. The guilty will be punished. This is according to Tinubu vows. And the writer says, Tundumbiri community to be rebuilt under Fulako initiative. Another writer says DHQ statement unnecessary. ACF says. For more on the story, please get the Nigerian Tribune. It is on page 2. Another headline atop the Nigerian Tribune says a Dangote refinery receives first crude oil shipment from Agbami, set to commence production. That story is on page 6, and I think Solomon, you touched on that, and you expressed optimism that we are likely to have a Dangote refinery running very soon. You said maybe next month or this month?
Yeah,
next
and
month.
we're excited because what the government
cannot do.
You know, one businessman who is passionate, in alleviating poverty in Africa.
Passionate in alleviating poverty? Dangote? How?
Yeah.
Do you know how much the bag of cement is? Do you remember that Boa Cement came out to say that they are going to sell their cement at a low price? And because of some powers that be with Dangote, they are frustrating their effort.
Well,
so I beg to differ on a man that is so passionate about poverty alleviation. I don't think so.
Well, the angle I'm coming from is from the business perspective. A lot of Nigerians
job creation.
Exactly. I don't think there's any company in Nigeria currently that employs an individual, one-man business that employs as much as Dangote.
Well, it's because also you have to also understand the power the federal government has given to Dangote. Anybody will do that because definitely you actually need people to work. You understand me? So the federal government gave him that that right on so many things, and so it's only natural. He can't do the job himself. Yes, it's part of creating jobs, which also is a problem of government, because government should be able to provide for its citizens. And if you can't do that, yes, the private sector, a whole lot of people are doing something good in the private sector, helping to reduce helping to fill the gap of unemployment.
And that's why I'm commending Dangote.
So, but we also have to look at how Dangote is also ripping us off as Nigerians.
Well,
I mean, do you know how much this same cement is sold in Ghana? In neighboring countries,
you need to understand,
and it's being produced in our country, and it's being sold at a higher rate. This is condemnable.
You need to understand that is into business to make profit.
To make profit,
yes, that's
and
one.
then you have to rip
that's
people off.
Oh, sorry, that's one. And then there are other your political office holders that do not have businesses in Nigeria. Rather, they take the money of Nigeria to another country to go and establish businesses there, and then thereby giving them employment over there. But Dangote is saying, look, let me bring my money here. Even though the business environment is not conducive enough for me, I will still try to make sure that I elevate some people out of poverty, because there are some people that earn so much in Dangote's company, and they're making a lot of money, and they're doing well for themselves and their family.
Well, I agree with you to an extent, but you also have to understand that the politicians, we all know their problem, because they know that definitely many of them are siphoning the money of Nigeria, and so there's no way they want to start business that eyes will not be on them. Yes. They will not be picked out, so that is their fear. Let's hold that. Now, let me also tell you that it is not all politicians that take their businesses out. They have only expanded their businesses. What do I mean? I mean, an example is also the sitting president Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself. He's been able to even break the challenge in the broadcast industry. I remember when he came up with TVC, he started by paying staff, a cameraman, a whopping 150,000 naira then, where other stations were still paying as little as 30,000, 20,000. Came up, started paying 150, was paying casters very good money as huge as 250,000, gave them cars and everything. So it is not all politicians. Then I also want us to look at something. There's always a reason for which people are doing certain things. Now, I tell people something. If somebody is just being nice to you, you need to ask yourself, what is the reason for which this person is being nice to me? And now, what am I trying to say? Some of these people also setting their businesses here. It's not basically because they really love Nigerians, but it's just because they know that their businesses will thrive here, because we have the population and they also have a government backing to an extent, because they start looking at them that, oh, they are creating jobs and everything. But when you not create job, should you be ripping the people off? Just the example that I gave, that cement that is sold in Nigeria at a higher amount, when you go to neighboring countries like Ghana, is being sold cheap. So what was the problem? So that's why I'm saying that any businessman that creates a job and is ripping millions of Nigerians off should be picked out. You understand? You should be picked out. There are so many problems that have even happened in Dangote that you don't want to hear. So many anti-labor matters there. I heard one of the artists coming out to say a particular time in one of these companies, and they were they use oil for something, and the individual in charge fell into the hot oil and died immediately, and nothing was done about it, and the story was killed. So this is what I'm talking about. What about many of these companies? They maltreat Nigerians. Nigerians in the country are being maltreated, and nobody is saying anything. So as much as we know that yes, you are trying to you're creating jobs, but then again, let's balance it. We can't say because you are creating jobs, then you are ripping us off. How much is sugar sold now? Dangote's products. So these are the things we should consider.
I understand your view, Nike, and also
my views are pains.
Yeah, they are quite they are the reality of what's happening in Nigeria. We cannot deny the fact that Dangote has been given a lot of autonomy over other business owners in Nigeria. But we're using this medium to also commend him, because it's a choice. Dangote can decide to move out of Nigeria and go to Ghana, where its cost of materials are also not cheap here to do business. There are also allegations that some of our politicians own refineries in other countries.
And this is another area we should be looking at, because this is the reason why they have failed to ensure that the refineries in Nigeria is working. So much money has been earmarked for refurbishing this, these refineries. And we have also found out that there are people also sabotaging government efforts in NNPC. And now they have come out to say they are NNPCL. But to what advantage is this to Nigerians? I mean, when subsidy was removed, they are even the first to be saying this is the amount they are going to be selling oil, which is affecting Nigerians. So what is there to gain in this country? My concern.
Let's move on.
So now, let's still stay with the Nigeria Tribune. Another headline here reads, prison spent 750 naira to feed inmates, 800 naira to feed dogs daily. Senate told Controller General proposes 3,000 naira daily for inmates. That story is on page 27 of the Nigerian Tribune. Gentlemen, prison spent 750 naira to feed inmates daily, 800 to feed dogs.
This is heartbreaking.
You see, oh God, I don't know.
For me, I would say yes. This is a good news. At least 3,000.
Yes, to be proposing 3,000 naira for them. But you see, this is my concern. That before now, a dog is being fed with 800 naira, 50 naira higher than a human being. I don't understand. Is it because they are prisoners?
They don't see every Nigerian, our rights are being trampled upon. Every Nigerian. So you that you're free, your right is being trampled upon. Now imagine
those that are in prison.
So you understand? So their own is doubled.
That is double wahala.
Please thank God these people, the Senate, they are looking into this matter now. I mean, let them know that the prison is the sole purpose
it's
of the prison.
Correctional center.
Exactly.
It's not a death sentence.
So until we learn to understand that, then we will start right.
All right, gentlemen, I was at a security conference yesterday, and they are looking at financial crimes. I mean, talking about this cyber crimes, Yahoo, and the spread of Yahoo. And the guest lecturer, Bonnie, he said, have you asked yourself, he said, is there anybody in this conference that would signify by telling him that he does not know one Yahoo boy amongst us. And everybody was looking.
You must know.
He said, all of us, because these people don't come from the sky, they are around us, they are being given birth to by a woman you know, they are in our families. He said, but how many of us are talking against them? He said, we all keep mute. How many people have moved to the police to say that this, that? But the question is, even when you go to the police, how are you sure that your life will be safe thereafter? So his advocacy is, we need to go beyond attacking these criminal-minded individuals. Let's see how we can help to talk to their minds. Let's see how we can help to fight poverty as a nation in such a way that, people will begin to place premium on education. And another question he raised is, he said, do you not know the cliche in town now? They tell you education now scam. That is if you go to university, you interact with university students, they are going to tell you that education now scam. So this is the state we are now, because those who are educated and out of school, it's pretty difficult for them to get a job. So, meanwhile, yes,
let
those...
me ask you, sorry, Nike, is education not a scam? Now you go to schools, what they teach you in the 4 walls of the school, when you come out, you go into the labor market, they will still have to teach you what you will do.
Train you on the job.
You understand? Meaning, what you learned in the school is just to prepare your mind. I mean, we don't do mining. We don't do any course in secondary school called mining. They teach you, the things they teach you are not really useful for you. You understand? So let us think inward. Agricultural science, yes, bring it back to primary school, secondary school. Let them know so that they can practice it. You come out from your secondary school, you go home, you can practice it. You understand?
But I think that is where you also have to give kudos to the polytechnics, because we can't say that it's not, I would not say education is a scam, because if we're not educated, we seated here, we wouldn't be able to communicate effectively. Now, English? I tell people that...
Speak English?
No, not just speak, even the level of your intelligent quotient. A lot of people who didn't go through schools, universities, they do not have the confidence to speak. And we have also had people that went, that the school didn't even pass through them. They only passed through school, and it's really difficult for you to say. So it depends on the notion you have when going to school. I mean, the school is meant to prepare you as an individual that will talk and people will reckon with. You need your intelligence quotient to be high so that you can also deliver. You understand me? If a lot of us are not educated, how then do we have these lawmakers? How then do we have lawyers? How would you know the nitty-gritty of certain jobs? There are some jobs that you cannot deny and you won't be able to practice well if you do not go to the university. And I also give kudos to the polytechnics. Because now, if you say you want to study broadcasting or journalism, you go to the polytechnic, you are going to be good. Because basically it's about practicals. And that's what sets the polytechnics higher than the university. But it's unfortunate that even now in this country, premium is even placed more on university than polytechnic. So as a nation, I think we need to go back to drawing board. We need to know what we are doing. Maybe there should be a national discourse where these lecturers at the university and the polytechnic will now come together. Let them begin to search them out from secondary school to know where the students you've taught, maybe you record, there will be recommendation that will be tagged with the certificate, whereby you say this person is good in this and I think is very good in Introtech, that's introductory technology. I don't know if they still do that in our secondary school, and they say this is the area that I will recommend for this individual. So maybe that way it will help for every individual or student to have a foresight to what he or she will become. I have to tell you the truth. Right from secondary school, I never knew what I was going to be. You understand? Because there's no form of counseling. Nobody to sit you down to tell you this. They will tell you there's a counseling department, but you expect to say you can't get to counseling department. Maybe during the week, there should be a day dedicated to counsel the students. We talk about autism today. All of these things emanate more from the secondary schools. So if these students are being orientated well enough from secondary school, then I think many of them will not join cults. And then I think many of them will know the direction in which they are going.
Absolutely.
Well, my submission...
let me quickly throw my 2 cents.
Okay.
you asked the question if education is scam. I think people who say that, it stems from the perspective that when you're done with school, there are really no jobs out there, the rate of unemployment and all of that. What's the difference between you and the carpenter down the street and the vulcanizer? You know, he's earning daily and he's making more money than you are.
Yeah.
Yours is just to wear fine shirt and shoe and talk and speak Queen's English. So people feel that education is scam. People that have that perspective. But I don't think education is scam. You know, my mentor will say that the first thing education does for you is to take away 40% of your foolishness.
Yes.
Education will make you critical
Of course.
in your analysis, you know, unless you didn't pass through school properly and school didn't pass through you. You know, so education is good. It's good. It helps you analyze life differently. It's not all about money, and that's where we miss it. It's not about education is not supposed to prepare you for a job. It's because the education system we find ourselves is messed up, and that's why Nike is calling for a revamp. When we have a revamp, you know, people are, and that's what we're calling out the educational sector out there. Let's have a revamp of our educational system. So many things that jargons that we churn out, you know, in our syllabuses, they are not needed.
Yes,
you know,
so for it.
For lives, for daily lives, you know. So let's have a revamp. What do these children need? What do these students need? What's the reality? We talk about entrepreneurship. Are we really teaching them? It's all theories, no practicals. I remember in NYSC, we just quickly do skill acquisition for 9 months.
They don't even place so much importance on
There's
it.
barely anything you can do with that. You know, so let's go back to the grassroots, like Shegun said. Let's pay premium to our education and have a revamp, and we'll see whether truly education is scam
or not. But like, just to cap what you have said, they say if you say education is expensive, they say try ignorance.
Yeah.
Now, until you try ignorance, you will understand the embarrassment it's going to give to you and your family, or a child that is uneducated. With an educated parent, you will see the difference, and I believe my colleagues will also attest to that. And now moving on to stay with the Nigerian Tribune, another headline: our top 8 reads on ending controversy over Kwara underpass. We found that story on page I think page 17 of the Nigerian Tribune. I'm quickly running through. NJC recommends retirement of Osun High Court judge, declines Adeleke's 11 request on CJ, sets up panel to probe judicial officers. Gentlemen, NJC recommends retirement of Osun High Court judge, declines Adeleke's 11 request on CJ.
Interesting. And they also set up panel to probe judicial officers.
Exactly.
Well, a lot is happening.
Well, what I see there is politics also playing its course. Another headline moving on reads: alleged failed abduction, file contempt proceedings against EFCC, DSS, if reps committees, tells Emefiele lawyers. That story is on page 11. That is the embattled Apex Bank governor. Adelabu to rejoin APC next week. You'll find that story on page 11. Adelabu going to APC again. Edo Forest gunfire attack. 3 NDLEA operatives injured. One undergoes brain surgery. For more on the story, please get the Nigerian Tribune. That story is precisely on page 26. And now moving on, Sanusi president should not be petroleum minister. Oh, beg your pardon. This is Sanusi saying that that president should not be petroleum minister. I was sacked for exposing corruption in NNPC. He says that story is on page 7. Gentlemen, this also goes to, lay credence. So what we talked about this morning, where I say that there are some people sabotaging government efforts in NNPC.
Absolutely.
And so now look at Sanusi, the once emir of Kano, coming out to say, and I remember that he exposed the corruption in NNPC. And because of that and all that and so many issues leading to so many issues, he was being dethroned as the sitting governor, of course, by Ganduje. as the governor. We haven't forgotten. And so this is it. It's a country where you're trying to fight corruption, and corruption is fighting back because many of the powers that be also have their hands soiled in corruption. So just how and when do we begin the conversation to change the trajectory that we have right here as a nation? But let's just be optimistic still that someday God will give us somebody like, what's his name? The man in Ghana that
J.K. Rowling.
Thank you, Rollins. We are waiting to have that man that is going to, put light and bring a light to the darkness in this country. And finally, on the Nigerian Tribune, it reads tributes pour in as Kokori dies on 80th birthday. The writer says, give our dad accolades he deserves for his sacrifice for Nigeria. Of course, this is once president of Nupeng, and he has contributed immensely to the development of that oil and gas sector. And just recently, I think maybe 2 weeks ago or last week, he came out to say that the Nigerian government just yesterday he came out to say that he is dying and the government has abandoned him. And the unfortunate thing that most people do not know is that his child also passed on in, I think, in UK or Canada last week. So I believe that also contributed to his to him kicking the bucket. But this is, our heart goes out to the family. We pray that God grants them fortitude to bear the irreplaceable loss, and for the Nigerian government to also compensate him, like the children are also demanding for his contributions to nation building. Well, that's finally wraps it all on the newspaper review. Right now, we're going to join our analysts, Olusegun Okunade, as we look at the business sector in Nigeria. Hello, Sheson, good morning.
Good morning, Nike. Good morning, Solomon. Good morning to all our viewers this morning. Thank God it's Friday.
I like that. Thank God it's Friday. Many thanks for joining us on the morning show. So, Sheson, this is, we're looking at ahead of the Yuletide season. Of course, there will be a lot of rush to the markets. Nigerians trying to get one or two things. We just want to get your views basically about this very season and how Nigerians should go about their shopping.
Okay. First and foremost, I think we need to greet our viewers, compliment of the season. Today is 8. In the next 2 weeks, we'll be singing and jingling the bell. On a lighter note, somebody said that they cannot hear the jingle bell. Possibly the bell has been stolen. But notwithstanding, the bell is still where it is. I'm sure the person ringing it is just tired. So plus and minus, we are the Yuletide period, and this is when the issue of demand and supply plays to bear. You'll discover that a lot of people will actually be going to buy things, at least to have fun and enjoy the year end. But this is where we need to put caution to things, in the sense that you need to consider what you have in your pocket vis-a-vis the high rising cost of living and the purchase of products these days. I'll give you a practical example that just last week, I requested that someone gets me the price for tires for a car, and they told me 40,000. And just this morning, I learned that the order is finished. The one they have now is 48,000. So you can imagine within a week, a difference of 8,000 on that. I believe that's an old stock, and what they're having now is new stock. So that on its own is putting pressure on the scarce resources that we have. So I want to encourage the citizens because we've spoken so much to the government, and we seems not to be having light behind the tunnel. So we need to talk to ourselves to actually see how much more we can control our spending, knowing fully well that January is always like 52 days, aside the 31
Hello, Olusegun.
that we want to appeal. We want to appeal to the citizens to such a way, go ahead and minimize their expenses, cut your costs according to the size of the materials that you have, not according to your size. So you can decide to sew just a top if you cannot go for up and down, or you just make it and look for jeans to complement it. This is the period that we need to be conservative in our spending so that we can enjoy the best even as we enter the new year.
All right, beautiful. Olusegun, a very quick one. Of course, we're also looking at the assessment of the nation's economy. What's your assessment? I mean, in the last 1 year, how have we fared as a nation?
Thank you very much. This year is a year where we have two administrations, handing over to one another. I would say they've all put in their best, but their best may not just be good enough, knowing fully well that the essence of governance is to give good welfare to the citizen and provide enough security as entrenched in the Constitution. I think Section 14, subsection 2. But you discover that in terms of security, we've not had the best, and that has on its own impact on the welfare of citizens, not allowing the economy to grow. So I would say that I'm not rating the government so high in terms of insecurity, because a lot of interstate businesses are actually being hampered with the hard movement that people are experiencing. Also, the issue we are faced with the terrorists. Look at the error that was committed by the security agency in Kaduna, which has reduced, the life of innocent ones. So everybody is in fear, even as they carry out their day-to-day activity, which you don't. Gone are those days, I can tell you that people traveled by night boats. And I, as an individual, years back, enjoy living, traveling by night. I leave Lagos, going to Akure, I'll leave around 7. And the truth is, the environment is cool, the engine will not be overheating, and you can enjoy the serenity on it. Driving against light wasn't a problem. But even to travel by day within the Western zone is really not an easy thing. Though that has hampered the flow and the growth of the economy, which as we go into the new year, the government needs to seriously, concentrate on having that through our budget, we have over 12 to 13% of the budget allocated to defense. In terms of other sector, agriculture-wise, security has also impacted the growth of agriculture base. And if that is addressed, we can see that the northern part that we consider as the food basket of the nation can grow more food, and at least, if not for anything, people can have access to good food and enjoy themselves. The other aspect has to border around power, and it's been off and on. With the investment of the federal government in the transmission act, we expect that what is being generated, at least the distribution company can effectively, absorb and make use of. But because of the shortfall of infrastructure in the distribution act and some of them obsolete infrastructure, you discover that even if all that is generated today is being wheeled out to the disco, they will have crises here and there. So if you look at some of these areas and the government is able to improve on them, but for 2023, I will tell you that it will be more impactful on businesses. You can see that they are leaving. P&G just give their own word that they are leaving the country and they will do more of import base. That on its own will stiffen and create unemployment because all the people that are working there, what becomes their fate? The middle level, the small level manager. So government should try as much as possible. You see, we can attract foreign direct investment, but the ones that are currently existing in the country are the ones that will give, the confidence for those that you are attracting. So if the ones that you have are leaving, it's not like an auditor in the financial sector. If you are exiting an audit, that you are carrying out, when your time has not expired, the new auditor has the room to ask you what is the problem. So the investors you are owing, we ask the P&G the problem they are faced with while they are exiting. And all these things most of the time bordered on inconsistent policy. Two, insecurity. I know of so many companies relocating to Ghana and their expatriates are actually living there. So you can imagine what they will be generating via their taxation on tax system, from the expatriates in Ghana, and majority of them are living here. We've had threats of some airlines, promising to exit their business from the country. So these are areas that I feel that the government needs to look into. Security is germane, and until when we address it, wooing foreign direct investment may just be a mirage and not reality.
All right, Olusegun, the Yuletide season in Nigeria is usually plagued with cash issues in the bank. The queues are back, according to the reports that we're having. The queues are back at the banks, and the queues are also at the filling station. In your assessment, why do we usually have this type of queues in our banks and the filling station, especially as the Yuletide season approaches?
And Olusegun, in addition to his question, how do you think this can be curbed? Because it's in the papers today.
That pardon me, I will take it up with the politician. This is the time to give. So, and the politician needs the cash more than you and I need it. So, you observe that a lot of cash our economy is cash dependent. If someone wants, in fact, politicians will want to do transfer to you so that you cannot have a trail of the activity, how it's going on. I'm sure you heard about the mishap that happened in Abeokuta of over 112, million cash being withdrawn by government officials, and quite unfortunate, an attack was made on the bullion van and a director had to life was taken out of it. So imagine such withdrawal by just one entity, and that's just one agency, a lot of it being done by government officials. So what is left in the hands of we, the common man like you and I? It will be more of queue. I'm sure the branch where that is actually mopped up from, definitely there will be long queue of people, trying to get cash. So it's about how the politicians, leaders are able to manage some of their sharing. I know it's good for them to give some cash to people because they believe that people have believed so much in cash, 5,000, 10,000 for the new time. But I think we should go back to what they say and act in line with what they preach. They will always tell you that cashless policy is the way to go. And if that is what we are preaching, we should see more of transfer. If people like Nikki and myself do more of transfer than spending cash, the last few days, I can tell you the crunch has made me not to even give anybody any cash. You want to do as low as 500. I will ask you, do you have a bank account? I will transfer to you because I can't go back and be getting this. Now, if you want to collect 5,000, they are charging 200, 300. That means you are buying money. Your currency is actually depreciating. So I would rather tell you that let me do a transfer to you, get what you want, and you move on. And if you are not ready, so I will feel that to respond to Nikki's issue, is for the financial institution to strengthen their infrastructure on the e-payment channel for some of these disbursements to be made. At least if the politicians are not sticking by their words to avoid audit trail, at least we, the common man, can adopt that so that we have minimal failure. It's the trust deficit that will make the woman paper to you to say that don't do transfer, because some people still go ahead to do, debit alert, fake your debit, or at times it's sincere. You'll be debited and you'll not get value. And that's why we are requesting for the financial institution to strengthen their platform for e-payment channel so that at least that can ease the burden of you saying you want to spend cash during the Yuletide sale.
So you can see me laughing, and the reason is not far-fetched. I'm surprised that you describe yourself as a common man indeed. So if Olusegun is a common man, then who are you? All right, it's okay. We'll take that as a political statement from you, Olusegun. However, now still talking about the topic of discussion, which is about assessing the Nigeria's economy. Olusegun, we saw the minister, of course, let's say the federal government, calling on Nigerians to engage more in farming activities. The Minister of State for Agriculture, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, said if all Nigerians or few Nigerians can begin to plant, we are certain of food security. But I don't know, before I get your reaction, I would like us to quickly take a listen to that soundbite, after which you react.
And like you rightly all knew, the total package of this 8-point agenda, both directly and indirectly and even tangentially, agriculture and food security has a lot of role to play. And we realize this when you talk about food security, which is the first, economic growth and job creation. Agriculture has the capacity for every dollar invested in agriculture, it generates up to 25% job creation. Because when you develop a value chain, studies have confirmed that yes, it's capable of giving up to 25% job creation annually. So it's a very veritable, for us in Nigeria, the level of our agriculture is such that job creation is an imperative part of it. And when you talk about poverty eradication, the moment you increase productivity of farm families and help them to improve their livelihood, what are you doing? You are removing poverty from them. And
well, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Abdullahi, speaking there. So, Olusegun, do you subscribe to his view, saying that if we improve productivity, in terms of farming and all of that, that Nigeria will then we have food security? What's your take?
Yeah, his statement is right, but the implementation is my issue. You look at agriculture, a lot of people try to invest in it, but how much of it have we been able to take the aspect of the herdsmen going around with their own animals to eat up some of the crops and plants that have been actually set up by the farmers? How much of it have we been able to come up with a policy to make sure that this is streamlined and you are not creating, issues for the farmers that you're asking to venture into it? You see, and what interests me most of the time is some of these are leaders come out with fantastic policy, and you ask yourself, do you even have the foreknowledge? As the Minister of State for Agriculture, how many farmland does he have currently working and engaging people? The answer will be no. It's something you must have practiced, and then you can come out. It's not about theory. Those things are good and fantastic policies, but when you pass through it yourself, you will be able to come out to advise, even if people are having issues, on how you are able to resolve it. how much of mechanized farming are we operating that you can say, okay, this is the best equipment to make use of as the minister? You must have tried it. Most of our leaders that are appointed, maybe based on their academic, attachment to some of these things, but when it comes to practicality, they seems not to be well involved. As Minister for State of Agriculture, I should have heard of his involvement in that sector, recruiting as much as he can, like he's telling us today that it will provide. A lot of people are venturing into it, at least in small bits. I've seen a lot of my friends now created space within their compound to at least raise vegetable for their consumption. If it's in excess, to give to friends, to do that. That's where how people are actually faring and doing. But as leader, you should not be on the path to say, do what I say and not what I do. They should do it and come out with, suggestion when people have issue, not the paper suggestion or what you think. The practical, hands-on practical aspect of it will guide. We really need, you see, I had opportunity to travel to Israel and I saw the way and manner those guys carry out irrigation, even though their areas are so sandy. We are blessed with vast land that are good for planting. Travel to the west, to the north, just ordinary Lagos Ibadan Expressway. You will see things, growing on their own without anybody. How much of it are we maximizing to make sure that even some of those people that we consider as inmates, rather than just keeping and feeding them, like some other countries we do, they will send them to go and work and get funds for them. We should explore them to make use of agricultural farming, mechanized way, and definitely we have food security.
All right, quickly to the second topic of discussion, Olusha. So before I allow you go, you still have 5 minutes with us, but let's quickly wrap this up. The Coalition of Northern Group and some elders in the north are demanding for compensation for victims of Kaduna bombing. First, what's your take about Kaduna bombing as a public affairs analyst? And do you also subscribe to the need for them to be compensated? Is that all we need at this point in time?
Thank you very much. The act that happened in Kaduna is condemnable. It's not something that is expect of if our intelligent gathering is actually top notch. And I want to give it to those at the helm of affairs to have owned up and take responsibility for that action. And we've seen them come up with a new strategy. I listened this morning when one of the chief saying they'll carry out 100% reassurance before such execution is being carried out. We want to wait and see so that we can minimize the killing of innocent people who are actually celebrating out there. In terms of compensation, is what is expected. For me, I saw the reaction of the president looking at the figures in question coming a bit late. He has come out to say it, to tell us that those that are found culpable of that act will not go unpunished. But I was expecting that particular day there will be, a word from the president, even though we know that he was out of the country as an individual. I've seen what happened in US, in UK when things like that happen. Some cut off their trip. But we're talking of over 85 people questioned here just in one area, being mistakenly killed by the security agency that are supposed to be protected. In terms of compensation, is what is needed. Some of the area that is being bombed, we learned that the security agency promised to bring back the place alive. But some of the loved ones that are actually being killed, if we have the data, because that's another area, so that people will not misappropriate the fund and said they have actually compensated those people concerned. What is the database of the people in that area? You see, we keep saying this here, every time that Nigeria needs database in a civil in a clime that knows their onions. You would definitely identify individuals that are involved in that particular thing, specific numbers of people that are here. But here, we still battle with our data. You might be shocked not to even know the people that reside in your environment. And that's why we've like that there are different levels in terms of our policy. Local government, below the local government, there are CDCs, there are CDAs that can have access to at least a small bit. Why don't you encourage a situation where you have a synchronized database to know that if this person is here today, you can move to another place and know that we have shot one, two people have come, and it will even enhance security. But as we speak, if you're asking that they should do the compensation, where is the database to show that these are the people that are involved? People that are not there when the thing happened might claim that their family members are actually there. And that's why I want the government to look at areas where everywhere we go, like you go to organizations this day, you are asked to fill in your login book. It's just to avert issue when it happens so that compensation can be directed to the right set of people that are affected by the mishap.
All right, Olusegun Okunade, thanks for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. And I like the aspect of the advice given to government for them to be able to get the nation's database right. And I think that is just where to start so that in doing this, we can also be able to contain the insecurity that has plagued us as a nation. Then I must say that Olusegun, I'm quite happy saying our words behind you. Let me also wish you well and say more wins to you.
Thank you, Nikki. And I just have to say this, let me celebrate myself. I'll be conferred with the fellowship status by the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. So maybe when you are seeing it next time, another addition to this award will be coming in. So that will be done today. So I can add to my name FCTI as a member of that institute.
Wow, that's a big one. Congratulations to you, Olusegun. And thank God it's Friday. We would have all just come there and be your guest and celebrate with you. So it doesn't just look like it's just for you to talk on TV. I mean, come and dine and wine with you. I hope you say yes to that. Well, Olusegun, thank you so much for sharing your touch with us this morning. Do have a beautiful day.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, viewers, we've been speaking with Olusegun Okunade, a public affairs analyst, and of course, a business analyst. At this time around, I'm sure this is the time you're waiting for, and it's a Friday. We can't afford not to talk about this very segment, a segment of our trends and hashtags. Segun, what's happening?
Right. Quickly, just like we did mention today about the P&G. Yes, so they're leaving the country, and it's a bad news. It's a sad news.
P&G is leaving Nigeria.
Yeah.
So now, once they leave, their product, to now become expensive, like GSK products are expensive. So that's the sad news.
And you know, there's been so much talk about the skyrocketing prices of pharmaceutical products, and the P&G now adding to it. My God, I don't know where we're going to start. And you see, this is what we talk about: the need for government to encourage these local organizations, local businesses, but ensuring that you don't overburden them with taxes. The taxes they are paying, I think, is too much. We don't have a friendly business environment, which government needs to work on. Many of these organizations, they're responsible for generating their own power, and then they're going to pay staff, and the economy is not good. I'm sure a lot of staff also might be resigning. Most likely they want to do a kind of what do you call it? Where you try to bring down the number of staff, or you reduce,
not about,
or you reduce.
They are migrating.
No, I'm telling you prior to this, they must
exactly.
have checked other areas to enhance in order for them to sustain their business in Nigeria.
It wasn't working.
And so now this is where we are. They've seen that it's not working, and they have to leave Nigeria. Well, I think the Nigerian government should begin to work on how they will encourage the business, the private sector, the business environment, so that we don't have all of them just leaving the country.
Absolutely, Nike. Now they are going to be employing a different business model,
And that's
which is to import their goods into Nigeria, so I will have to pay more. And these guys, more than what we experience with JSK, we might experience with P&G.
And unemployment rate will also increase because all the people working with them, because that's a big organization.
Exactly, and most of their goods, their household items, detergents, and all of that. And with the hardship Nigerians are already going through, adding is just like adding, salt to your injury.
I just hope that the federal government now will look inward, support Nigerians in Nigeria.
Reduce the taxes.
Have, businesses. I mean, if we have a Nigerian doing the same thing, producing, manufacturing, the same thing that GSK is manufacturing, the same thing that P&G is manufacturing in Nigeria. Do you understand? As these guys are leaving,
let's equip them.
Do you understand? So that we don't feel.
But again, business and products come with trust. It comes with many years of you being able to prove yourself to the public that indeed your product is the right product to identify with.
Yeah, there's always a starting point. There's always a
starting point. I agree.
Something. Nigerians are super talented. What many of them lack is the right business acumen, the environment. They know what they want to do. You understand? Recently, I watched the Aba Fashion Week. Nikki, I was wowed. If you see what Nigerians are producing in Aba,
and they are putting labels. They start putting labels of US, China,
this one is Aba Fashion Week. Yes, they are letting the world know that this is Aba made. If the Nigerian government cannot jump on that, then I don't know what we're ready to do. Because it can compete favorably with the international scene. If you see what those guys did, it's all over the internet.
I remember at a point in time in this part of the world, there are some kind of clothes you buy and shoes that you just know that is not standard. We say Abanaya. We didn't go Abanaya. But right now, it shows that these people have revolved. That they've looked inward and they're trying to work to show that they have a level of professionalism they can bring in.
Before you come in, let me tell you what some Nigerian professionals do in the fashion industry. They go to Aba, contact these guys, tell them the type of outfit that they want. Well designed, solid fabric, even what's it called? Wedding gowns. They do everything, and then they will change the label and come drop it. No, not the Aba guys.
They give it to those people go and put their own label.
Exactly, and they will tell you that they brought this from Paris. And top designers are patronizing them.
I know some guys that is designers are in Aba, so it makes his label. Okay, funny enough, as big as Africa is, there's no company producing labels.
Oh my God! So what about toothpick? You're talking about label. We don't even produce toothpick.
I'm not saying Nigeria. I mean Africa.
Oh, Africa. In Africa?
Yes. So they have to send to China, send to Korea, to do label. Then they ship it down here. Then these guys now ship it down to Aba. So as they finish sewing the cloth, they put the label. Then Aba they ship it back. And I have some friends that just go to Aba themselves to source for material, quality materials. You don't have to go to China. You don't have to go to Korea.
If you see the finished product, you would never believe.
But you know what? For viewers, this is just my own suggestion. If you're out there and you're still thinking of a business idea, you don't have it, this is one that we have brought to your table. As Segun has just said, as large as Africa is, I don't know if your findings were to know that as big as Africa is, nobody is being able to produce labels for clothing. And I think this is an area somebody can cash on. So just take this and start.
It's capital intensive. It's very expensive. So they just make do with some things. Just like, okay, you can't do label. Okay, let's have a way around it. That's how some people do in Nigeria. But professionally, you have, if it's label, you have to go to China or Korea. Moving on, let's quickly touch on this one. So this South African lady, she said she hated being a mother. right? That it's one of her biggest regret, and nobody can convince her for that.
Now, one of our biggest regrets is being a mother.
Yes. And now, so she went further, talk, and then she said it was toward the end of the 3rd trimester when she realized that she had just ruined her life. And then, so people were like, okay, could it be the trauma of being pregnant, this one, the childbirth? She said, no, you can't tell me what I know. Don't try to impose your idea on me. I know what I'm saying. That she loves her child, but will she do it again? Never.
Never. Okay.
And she regret that's the biggest regret of her life.
Well, you see, one thing I must say is, okay, like this morning, my neighbor was the one that dropped me in our car, and we were talking. I told her that 2 days ago, I got home around 11 o'clock, thereabouts. I had to cook stew. I had to prepare vegetable. I finished around, 1:30, no, to 2, and I slept around 2 o'clock. And the next morning, by 4, I'm up again to prepare food for the family. And then I'm out again, and I have to come to the office for work. I also have a personal engagement. I have to ensure that all of these are balanced, and so really I understand that lady, and I would want to suggest this morning, because as much as yes, she says that she's regretting it, I don't want any lady or any girl out there to be discouraged. There are advantages to being a mother. Because at the end of the day, when you get old, you need a child as a companion. You need somebody to call to be able to respond to you. Because I always tell my children that, hello, do you think your mom is going to be agile forever? No. Even the artist that sang the song that he wants to be forever young. You want to be, forever young, blah, 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 blah. You can't be forever young. So you need to pass on your legacy. You need to pass on all of the knowledge that you've gained over the years. And your children will be the representation of who and what and where you're coming from. That's my submission. Yes, it's a Herculean task of being a mother, but it makes for balancing. It is what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely. For me, Segun, I think what she was suffering from is the postpartum depression that comes with pregnancy and childbirth. That's what I think, because if you have experienced childbirth, like many women have said, they will say, I will never do this again. This is my last. But unfortunately or fortunately, before you know it, they are pregnant with 2-3 children again. That's what many women say, and then before you know it, they're pregnant. I think she's suffering from postpartum depression. She's going to get over it. A lot of women go through that. It's a psychological, emotional state after pregnancy and childbirth. It is not easy to see a slay queen looking all old and tired and dark and weak, fat nose and all of that. She doesn't want to experience it again.
I'm sure exactly what you're saying is what she's doing, because she's
a
young mother.
So look at the street.
She's a young mother.
Look at the street. So this one said, maybe if she said being a mother is extremely exhausting, and she doesn't like it, then I can be okay. That makes more sense. Now she's saying she hates it and it's one of her biggest regrets. Eventually she'll start resenting her kid. See her response. I don't care about you not being okay. It's my situation, not yours, to be okay.
I think she's also she's faced with frustration.
Exactly.
Because you see, another thing is, I think mothers have a lot of work to do. Mothers and father. I think while you're raising your children, you need to fix it in their brain somewhere, the need for you to know that someday you're going to be a family person, you're going to have a wife, as a man you're going to, as a woman you're going to have a husband. These are all that it entails, so that when they know, they will be prepared. You understand me? So this is somebody that is not prepared for marriage. Most likely she just got pregnant, not ready for it, and it just happened like that, and she's pregnant. So maybe that's why and don't be surprised, in the next 2 or 3 years, when she's dressing her baby for birthday and all of that fun, she come and say, oh God, I thank you. I'm so sorry when I made that statement. I never knew. You know them now. But of course, I always expect that from the whites.
All right. Well, she's a South African lady, so she's not so far. All right. Finally, let's touch on this one. It says, Akoi Grace, Wizkid shares picture of Portable and Skepta on his story. Finally, Portable made it to Wizkid's story on Instagram. I mean, come on. Wizkid has been saying, so the moment Portable saw that, no, Skepta showed him like, okay, look, Wizkid just posted a picture, right here, this picture, and then Portable says, yeah, Baba, Wizkid, please, just come and say, yeah. Just come and say on my track. And I don't
That guy
know.
is so funny.
You understand? And people said, so Skepta is a big name in the UK, United Kingdom, is a big artist, and he's worked with Wizkid, and he was the one that even showed Wizkid the business part in music. In UK, when Wizkid went to the UK. So it's a big name. And now people are saying, so he invited Portable. I don't know why. So they got there and then dashed him £20,000. That's 2 million naira plus. And then people were saying it's a business strategy that Skepta is doing. Like, the population of Nigeria is huge. It's massive, 200 million. You know, we are human capital. That's one of the greatest assets. And then him trying to break into Nigerian music market, he will earn more. No matter how much he gives Portable, he will earn more. Because now, when they've recorded the song, right? They've recorded a song. So when they bring the song to Nigeria, and everybody's
already
expectant. You understand? So
everybody wants to watch.
Population, let's say his fan base is like 10, 15, 20 million. So 20 million Nigerians listen to it. Now, Wizkid is definitely going to hype it because it's Skepta. So Wizkid's fan base will go listen to it. Now, Skepta has his own fan base in the UK, in the US. His fans are going to go stream it. So it's going to generate more
revenue for him.
Like, okay, so that is a very good business, but I will say it favors Portable more.
Well, I think number one, we should first say congratulations to Portable, because for me, sometimes I just look at him that where does this Raz guy came from? You understand? That has always been, but you know, somehow Nigerians embraced him. They loved his music, and I think one thing about him is this is one guy that is very down to earth. He wants to say things the way it is, and I think that's the amazing part of him. And then again, yes, if we say that Skepta is using a business strategy, it is expected. I mean, when you know the business aspect of a particular profession, this is music, it's been there, and he knows. And when it comes to music, you should know that anything that has to do with money is self-trust. Everybody is interested, say wow, and all of that. So doing it as a business strategy, it's okay. But at least he is also impacting lives. So this is what we talk about. And I also like the fact that he was able to also give all the kudos to Wizkid and all of that. And this is what we say in this profession. People that are your seniors, always give them that kudos, because that's the only way you rise. Don't forget that the young ones too will continue to grow. And it's the same thing, just like what goes around will always, come around.
All right, so, well, I hope you guys learned from that, because please, it is good to stay and remain humble. And that will be it.
All right, Shego, beautiful. This is all we have for you on this Friday edition of U45 Morning Show. Many thanks for being a part of this. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. And do not sleep too much. Remember to join us on Monday for another beautiful edition. I'm Adenike Oweye Ajiboye.
I am Osage Solomon Wilfred.
And I am Shegun Dinola Adeyemi. Thank you for joining us.
And from all of us, enjoy your weekend and please do stay safe. It's bye for now. Before I say bye for now, let me also thank the production team. Thank you, Atayor, Hamed, and the rest of the team. You guys are fantastic. Many thanks. It's a bye from all of us.